Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today's video I'm here to give you 5 things which I believe we learned from the game against Plymouth. You could argue we learned about 15 things against Plymouth, but I'm here to give you 5. I've picked out 5 things and yeah, I want to just talk about them in a little bit more detail in today's video. I'm not in a good mood still. I hate losing like games of football. My mood doesn't change until we next play the game. And yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? It's just like, it's getting really frustrating. The start of this year, football for Luton, it's just, it hasn't been great. It really hasn't. And yeah, I'm here to talk more about the game last night where we lost 3-1 against Plymouth Argyle. So the first thing, what I want to talk about is the 2-man midfield situation. So if you didn't know, Luton play the 3-4-3 formation, 3 centre halves, 2 centre mids with 2 wing backs and then 3 attackers. Now at the moment, since the start of this season, we've played a very inconsistent starting 11, especially in the midfield. We've not been consistent with it, and I personally think the personnel that played against Plymouth, it was just completely wrong. Krause and Clark did not work well as a centre mid partnership at all, really. Clark for me has been extremely poor since the start of the season. He's one of the players I actually feel like needs to be dropped, and you should give more opportunities to the likes of Walsh, or maybe play Zach Nelson more centre rather than an actual winger. He hasn't been good at all, and I felt Tom Krause, despite a very good 20 minutes against Sheffield Wednesday when he came on as a sub, he was running around like a headless chicken in the game against Plymouth, and that, you can't have that happening. With the 2 centre mids, you need to be very disciplined, and you need to be like position minded at all times, because the moment you come out of position, you're going to leave an awful lot of space in the centre of the pitch. And against a team that's playing a 3-man midfield in Plymouth Argyle, where they had a number 10 and 2 midfielders sitting behind their attacking 4, they're gonna get through quite easily, and that's exactly what happened. Now, I'm not a tactical expert, I'm far from it, but I'm just telling you like the basics of it. You need to have 2 very disciplined centre mids, but we didn't have that, and they were able to counter us quite easily. Now, last season in the Premier League, we had Lokonga and we also had Ross Barkley. As a centre mid partnership, I felt they worked extremely well. Lokonga was very position disciplined, and he basically protected the defence as much as he could. He was very defensive minded, whereas Ross Barkley was the more attacking minded. He would contribute in the attack. But what Ross Barkley used to be able to do, well, for us, was receive the ball in dangerous scenarios and get out of it quite easily and progress the ball up the pitch using his dribbling ability or ball quality. That's what he was able to do. Now, we don't have a Ross Barkley. We're not going to ever replace Ross Barkley. The closest player we've got at the team, at the club, that's like a Ross Barkley, and I've said it plenty of times now, is Baptiste. Not saying he is Barkley's replacement, but he's the closest thing to what we have to a Ross Barkley in terms of dribbling ability and passing quality. He's the one that can do it the closest out of all the centre mids at the football club. But at the moment, he's currently injured with a muscle injury. That's been quite a common problem since the start of the season, because it looks like every player who keeps getting injured for Luton, it's muscle injuries. Frustrating. But anyway, he's the closest to what we've got. But right now, we've played a very inconsistent partnership in the midfield. I thought the Canberra and Walsh worked extremely well, but then again, the game against Sheffield Wednesday, we were getting split open far too easily, so that weren't working either. So it's a problem. The midfield needs to be looked at. Do we go back to what won us promotion out of the Championship to the Premier League and have a 3-man midfield? It's really surprising, but right now, the 2 centre mids just simply don't work. And if a team like Plymouth, and no disrespect to Plymouth, but if they can easily come away from a game scoring 3 goals and potentially should have scored 4 or 5, I think something needs to be addressed, and something definitely needs to be looked at, especially in the midfield, because it's just getting to the point where our defenders are getting isolated. They're getting countered all the time, and teams are just easily able to create opportunities and score goals. We shouldn't be giving teams a sniff at times, but yet they look like they can walk away and win 5-0. It's happened in the last 2 games. Okay, Sheffield Wednesday, they lost in the end against us, but that's because they went down to 10 men. If they had 11 players on the pitch, they could have easily won that 3 or 4. So it's concerning right now. It is a massive concern. The second thing what I want to talk about is Elijah Adebayo. Yet again, we are talking about him. But I don't want to just talk about him missing opportunities. I can accept players missing chances. He's someone who's low on confidence. It's frustrating because he always starts a season off really slowly, and it just needs that goal. Once he gets that goal, he will then kick on. But he's such a confidence player, and it does drive me insane. I don't mind missing chances to an extent. But the issue, the main problem what I've got is he's so isolated on his own up top. And a lot of times what happens is, if he's the only striker, centre-halves tag team against that striker all the time. So if he does win a flick on, or if he manages to haul the ball up, I expect players to be around him to help him out a little bit. But our wide players and centre mids are too far apart from him. They're not close enough to him. And it makes, every time we get the ball in the attacking half, we just instantly lose it, and we can't build an attack because no one's near Elijah to start it. It's frustrating, and it's also frustrating with Adebayo missing chances. He should have scored at least 3 or 4 goals now to his name, yet he hasn't scored any. But yeah, he's being isolated, and that's why I'm screaming about changing the formation, changing the system, so he can play alongside a Joe Taylor or Woodrow or someone different. It needs to change. Something needs to be around, whether that's a number 10 that's coming into the side, that's playing a lot closer to Elijah. I'm not too sure, but something has got to change. And that's the third thing I want to talk about, the lack of change. I don't know why we're not changing the formation in a game where we need to change. Like during that second half, we kept the same formation, and I was like, what are we doing? We had a fantastic opportunity when Menji got injured, and I'm not saying that's fantastic, but when he came off as a sub, we went like for like in terms of substitutions. We brought Anderson on. That was the perfect time to actually, you know what we're currently doing, it's not really working. Why don't we just bring on an extra centre mid like Nakamba, who could just sit in front of the defence in a back 4, and then allow, you know, Kraus or Clark to maybe go, one of them to push up a little bit more to support the attack. No, we didn't change. And then in the second half, when we were making the substitutions, I think Anderson came off injured again, and then we moved Walters from right wing back into a centre half position. Again, we're so consistent in playing this 3 at the back system. It doesn't matter what happens, whether it's an injury crisis or we're just not good enough at doing it, we're still willing to play with 3 at the back. I just want to hit my head against the wall. The moment we actually change and don't play with 3 centre halves anymore, it's the moment I'm going to celebrate so loud, it's going to be unbelievable, and everyone's going to hear me all over the country, because I don't like 3 at the back system. For me, it's not the correct way to play football. I love the back 4. I look at all the best teams in the world who play a back 4, and I just look how exciting their football is. I don't understand why we can't do it. I'd rather lose games of football when we're giving it our all and trying our best. I can accept losing if you miss your opportunities. I can't accept losing when you've been tactically outclassed. That's the one thing I get frustrated with. But that's the third thing I wanted to talk about. The fourth thing I wanted to talk about was set pieces. Yet again, I'm having this conversation with you guys on this video about set pieces. We are so predictable from them. I bet Plymouth were thinking, well, you can keep this coming, Luton, because we know what you're doing, we know what you're planning. We can just keep defending against this. And that's what they kept on doing. We never changed it. Alfie, I love Alfie. I think he's a fantastic player. But why does he always have to take the set piece? Why can't we have anyone else who's capable of taking a corner or a free kick? It's so frustrating. And also, when we get one corner to the next corner, we're waiting for Alfie to run the whole other length of the pitch just to take the set piece, which slows the game down, which kills a bit of momentum, and we still put the same predictable ball into the box. With 3 centre-halves on the pitch, you expect we become a little bit more dangerous from set pieces. No, we're not. We haven't looked dangerous at all, really, from set pieces, and that was one of our biggest strengths last season. It's really weird. I just don't get it, and why we don't go short sometimes. Like Victor Moses, like against Sheffield Wednesday, we went short, he put the ball in, and it was a brilliant ball into the box. These are professional footballers. We're not in non-league anymore. You know, they're capable of putting in a decent ball into the box. I'm not the best footballer in the world, but if I need to tell you how to do it, I'll come down to training and show you. And that's coming from me. I just find it laughable at times. But yeah, set pieces, again, predictable. And finally, the last thing I wanted to talk about was leadership. We've had about 3 or 4 different captains since the start of the season. Missing Lockyer has been absolutely massive, and I never thought you would ever say that. And I know how much of a great leader he is, and it's becoming even more vocal now since he hasn't been playing football for us. But wow, we 100% miss him. We've got no leadership within that group of players. And it's a concern. Clark's not really a captain. We had Bell be a captain. We've had Morris be a captain. I don't know who's going to be captain in the next game. But honestly, it's concerning. It is concerning because I don't know where the leaders are. When Victor Moses scored that goal, he was going to the players. 2 more chances. That's all we need. 2 more chances. And then we win the game of football. That was someone with a bit of experience, with a bit of quality. We really lack that little bit of experience within the team, which sounds crazy because we've got players who have played hundreds and hundreds of appearances in all these different positions, but yet there's no leadership. It's a concern. It is concern, and people have the right to complain about this. I'm not saying there's expectation. Well, there is some expectation because we've got more money than what we used to. The concern is, for me, is the style of play just does not work. And in the past, when we've been slow starters, although we may have not started the season off extremely well, performances and style of play have been there. Right now, performances haven't been here. Style of play, I don't know what we're doing. And we're not getting results. That's 3 bad things. If this keeps going, whether you are Edwards in or Edwards out, it's a concern, and more questions will need to be answered because I can't see this lasting. I can't see him lasting as Luton manager if this does continue. So for him's sake, he needs to sort it out. He really does, and he looks a defeated man. Every press conference, he looks like he needs a break from football. He may actually walk. Yeah. As you can tell, I'm just frustrated. Tomorrow's video, I will be talking a little bit more about Rob Edwards and the future about him, whether I want him to stay, whether I would keep him, and yeah, just fingers crossed he can try and sort this out because it's not good at the moment. But yeah, I'll see you in tomorrow's video.